Most people lose power before they can even gain it. Not because they're weak, it's because they're picking the wrong people, they're picking the wrong battles, and they're talking way too much. In part 4, we're going to take a further deep dive into the 48 laws of power on the psychological side of what makes people tick. We're talking about how to identify dangerous personalities before they ruin your day, how to make people chase your approval by staying neutral, by playing dumb is actually the smartest move you can make in a room, and sometimes why the strongest move to make is to just surrender. With these laws, it separates people that want the power from the quiet ones that actually hold the power. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I am Nisha, where we explore higher levels of awareness through logic, science, and life experience. If this is your first time here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. I appreciate y'all tuning in. If you're not tracking, I am working on a very ambitious project where we are deep diving into all 48 laws of power, giving my interpretations and insights, and also my personal experiences on all 48 laws of power. So without further ado, there's a lot that we have to dig through. So go ahead and grab your notebook, grab your popcorn, and let's dig in. Power number 19. Know who you're dealing with. Do not offend the wrong person. There are many different kinds of people in the world, and you can never assume that everyone will react to your strategies in the same way. Deceive or outmaneuver some people, and they will spend the rest of their lives seeking revenge. They are wolves in lamb's clothing. Choose your victims and opponents carefully. Then, never offend or deceive the wrong person. For this law, revenge is the name of the game. If you do people wrong, best believe they're gonna hold a grudge against you, even to their graves, which is why it's very important to know and understand who your audience is. Just know who you're dealing with when you're making those deals. Or in the book's point, scamming. There is a guarantee of 5 different personality types that you're going to have to run into and make deals with. First one, people that are too arrogant for their own good. The moment you insult them, they become dangerous. They're the ones that tend to overreact when there isn't much to react to. It's almost like they instantly go into a blind rage. They're the ones that you definitely want to stay clear from. 2, there's the arrogant but unhappy type. Their ego and their arrogance is just as fragile as the blind rager, but they're not as reactive. What they do is that they respond in jabs. Little by little, they'll do their best to knock you down a peg, and their toxicity will deplete you until there's absolutely nothing left, which sounds very familiar. And over time, those accumulative attacks will just turn into one giant attack. If you decide to stay around them continuously over time, they're just going to continue to gnaw at you until there's nothing left to devour. The third type is the seer is believer personality. They are suspicious of everything that they come across. You can easily sway this person to turn against other people in your favor. They have absolutely no loyalty at first, but if you convince them, they will be your lapdogs forever. However, the flip side to that is, if you're in their crosshairs, then you've just made an enemy forever. My grandma always told me, be wary of snakes in the grass. This is the personality that she meant. People who are serpents with great memories. They're the calculated type. They wait for the opportune time to attack. For these types of folks, you want to crush them completely or remove them from your life altogether. So don't leave a door open or a trail for their return, because when they do attack, there's no coming back from it. This last personality is the oblivious and foolish type, because they just don't care. They're like the energy vampires of the personalities. It will actually take you more time and energy to try to convince them that there's a carrot on the stick before they even realize that there's a carrot in front of them to begin with. They're just the plain, simple yogurt type. Nothing extraordinary will grab their attention. All right, now that you know the 5 personality types, let's go ahead and take a further deep understanding on how to maneuver around these types when they're backed into a corner. People will tell you a lot about who they are when they're playing defense. Either they react or they don't react. And the ones that don't react, they're the ones you want to look out for, because you don't know what's running through their mind. Don't go by the first good thing that you see in a person, because it could be a facade and they're really not showing their true selves until you piss them off. Like in Proverbs chapter 9 verse 8, so don't bother correcting mockers. They will hate you for it, but correct the wise and they will love you for it. People really don't like to hear feedback about themselves, especially the ones with fragile egos. Like glass, they'll shatter easily. If you're dealing with people with fragile egos, there's a way to deliver constructive feedback that won't hurt their feelings. Use a compliment sandwich. We'll talk more about that in power number 24. There's a perfect quote to wrap up this law by the late and great Dr. Maya Angelou. When people show you who they are, believe them the first time. Power number 20. Do not commit to anyone. It is the fool who always rushes to take sides. Do not commit to any side or cause but yourself. By maintaining your independence, you become the master of others, playing people against one another, making them pursue you. Power 20, Part 1. Do not commit to anyone, but be courted by all. If you allow people to feel they possess you to any degree, you lose all power over them. By not committing your affections, they will only try harder to win you over. Stay aloof, and you gain the power that comes from their attention and frustrated desire. Play the Virgin Queen. Give them hope, but never satisfaction. Once you've committed to something or someone, you lose the glow of being swooned. The excitement to join another person's forces is gone. For some weird odd reason, people really like when you have a brain and you actually use it. By showing no allegiance to either side, it actually excites the leaders to want to engage with you more. Kind of like swing voters in election season, because they have no loyalty to any side. They are neutral people that are only sticking to their own side. Now, some people actually use this power as a manipulation tactic to play both sides. Basically, they're double dipping the pot. Now, I would not suggest this, nor do I think it's right, because you're wasting people's time and their energy, as well as your own. If you mess around and find out, you might have to stick to one side because you've been entertaining their favors. The choice of free will is the path that you want to be led down to. So don't do things for the sake of doing them because it's always been done that way. Others should not be telling you how to think, feel, or do. Instead, you should be telling them what you want. And in that, you hold the power and the attention of your admirers. Power 20, Part 2. Do not commit to anyone. Stay above the fray. Do not let people drag you into their petty fights and squabbles. Seem interested and supportive, but find a way to remain neutral. Let others do the fighting while you stand back and watch. When the fighting parties are good and tired, they will be ripe for the picking. You can make it a practice. In fact, stir up quarrels between other people, then offer to mediate, gaining power as the go-between. Now, this is where you also want to make sure that you pick and choose your battles wisely. I feel like we've already mentioned this in a previous power. Power number 9, win through your actions, never through argument. This power also boils down to the ability to master your emotions, because once you pick a side, that side is going to view you as a tool to try to help you fix their problems. And the thing is that you can't fix everyone's problems. You can only fix your own. So again, when you're working with your ally or allies, make sure that you're implementing law number 9 and 10. Win through actions, never through argument, but avoid people that will drain and exhaust you with their drama. Power number 21, play a sucker to catch a sucker. Seem dumber than your mark. No one likes to feel stupider than the next person. The trick, then, is to make your victims feel smart. And not just smart, but smarter than you are. Once convinced of this, they will never suspect that you may have ulterior motives. This law comes from the art of playing aloof in order to disarm the professor. When you're quick to play the role of the smarty pants of the group, you quickly lose the respect and the proximity to the authority and the influence. Yeah, I'm talking to my strong and wrong types out there. The professor doesn't like the know-it-all types because they know they can't be taught, nor do they choose to learn anything new. If you ever find yourself being the student in this situation, you might want to lean into your teacher's intelligence to make them look smarter and also give them a boost of self-esteem. And by doing that, you will be by your teacher's side and they will show you things that you may not have had access to prior. But there may be times where you will actually have to show those teachings and put those brilliance into action. And if you do, make sure you're genuine and truthful, because some people have the gift of knowing if you're bullshitting or not. This law plays very well into both your professional and personal growth, because the trade-off is that you share knowledge. So in order for you to receive it, you have to also give it. It really helps build trust. Now, I will say, once you've earned the trust, it is up to you on what you do with it. But remember, build yourself to be an asset so that you don't get treated like a liability. Power number 22. Use a surrender tactic. Transform weakness into power. When you are weaker, never fight for honor's sake. Choose surrender instead. Surrender gives you time to recover, time to torment and irritate your conqueror, time to wait for his power to wane. Do not give him the satisfaction of fighting and defeating you. Surrender first. By turning the other cheek, you infuriate and unsettle him. Make surrender a tool of power. Now, for this law, it requires a lot of patience, pride, and self-control, because you have to know and understand the importance of surrendering in order for you to gain influence from within. Now, I know it sucks because we've been always taught to stand up to fight for what is right and what best aligns in our best interests. But sometimes fighting may not be the most ideal solution. Now, don't get me wrong. If you fight back, it will get you a lot of sympathy and it'll win the hearts of many people. But your fight may soon be forgotten if there is another issue that's much bigger that emerges and overshadows your problem. In the book, Greene mentions martyrdom as an option. Now, yes, it is true that martyrdom does get you closer to power, but what good is it if you're no longer around to see the change and see the turn of power? Which is why it's better to just surrender and just change from within. If you infiltrate the system in your favor, your beliefs will stay alive. If you stick around long enough, you may be able to see the control that you've naturally gained. Power number 23. Concentrate your forces. Conserve your forces and energies by keeping them concentrated at their strongest point. You gain more by finding a rich mine and mining it deeper than by flitting from one shallow mine to another. Intensity defeats extensity every time. When looking for sources of power to elevate you, find the one key patron, a fat cow who will give you milk a long time to come. Now, when you're playing this law, I recommend that you have a multitude of different strategies and the use of critical thinking skills, because this law is not a straightforward law. Here's why I say that. If you're examining Law 20, Part 1, where you commit to no one but be courted by all, while infusing Law number 19, understanding your audience, there can be a multitude of outcomes that stem from the combinations of these two laws. If you're able to discern of who's who and what's what in these combinations of laws and people, then you want to make sure that you play your cards wisely. You cannot spread yourself across multiple efforts. Consistency is key to this law. However, there is a counter to it. Make sure you be mindful to not be too successful at this one thing. If you do, you start becoming more predictable to the outcomes of your actions. And if your opponent is watching you very closely, they're going to know what to do to knock you off your stride. That's why it's best to always diversify your portfolio, whether it's talent, skills, or content. Don't be afraid to branch out and use other ideas once you've already built your foundation. So if you have other cards in your hand, play them. Remember, being unpredictable scares people. Power number 24. Play the perfect courtier. The perfect courtier thrives in a world where everything revolves around power and political dexterity. He has mastered the art of indirection. He flatters, yields to superiors, and asserts power over others in the most oblique and graceful manner. Learn and apply the laws of courtiership, and there will be no limit to how far you can rise in the court. Although we're not living in medieval times, this law is still in existence today. Not only do you see this law played in workspaces, but also in our government and our entertainment. The thing is that if you want the power, we all have to play this game. But I can tell you there's 10 ways that you can go about it without being a kiss ass or a brown noser, because homie don't play that. And it goes a little something like this. Rule number 1. Don't talk too much about yourself around naysayers and haters. They hate it when you do that. You already know that you're surrounded by envious people based on how they react or respond to you. Again, read the energy in the room. So why fan the fire? The more you talk, the more ammunition you're giving them to use against you later on. Instead, make them talk. People hate the idea of sitting in silence. So as a confident person, if you're confident enough to sit in your own silence, they're eventually gonna talk. And the more they talk, they're gonna slip up and say something about themselves that you can use. Don't let people see you sweat. Make sure that the job that you're doing looks easy from the outside. It gives off the illusion to other people that you're an absolute genius. But little do they know, it takes a lot of time, patience, and energy to put forth that effort. But it's also a great way to lay traps for any biters or copycats that are around you. Because when copycats try to replicate the things that you do, their delusional expectations do not match their reality. Rule number 3, giving too much flattery is weird. Remember back in law number 1, never outshine your master? Yeah, this applies. You want to give compliments, but not too much to where it takes the eyes off of the subject and then directly onto you. Like the book says, use flattery frugally. Rule number 4, you need to stand out. Make yourself noticeable. In order for you to rise to power and to the occasion, you need to be seen. But notice that I didn't say use your mouth in order to do it. Now, don't get me wrong. If you need to speak up to your work, then do so. However, words without actions mean absolutely nothing to people that hold the power. Rule number 5, know your audience. Now, we definitely talked about this earlier. So make sure that you understand who you're talking to and the language that they use. You cannot use the same universal language and treatment for everyone around you, because the universal language may not resonate, nor does it stick to that person. And if it doesn't stick, then you fail to get your point across. Rule number 6. Now, I'm not a fan of this rule, and I think it's pretty dumb, but it's one of the rules that we've already mentioned before, which is using selective honesty to deliver bad news. Again, some folks are very soft and they are very fragile. So when you're delivering bad news head on, it's most certainly gonna piss them off. And now they're mad at you for making them mad. Like, make it make sense. If you have to deliver bad news, be graceful about it and deliver it in such a way that the person understands that there's bad news. Rule number 7, keep it classy and professional with your boss. This is a very touchy subject because I have so much exposure to this. I find it very weird when people are constantly in the faces of their managers and bosses because they're trying to seek that validation and approval. True story. I legit had coworkers that would wait outside of our big boss's office just so they can wait to come in and tell them about how their day went. And their shift was over like several hours ago. Bunch of weirdos. So whomever that you're reporting to, or if you're the boss, make sure that you create a clear, defined line of what's professional and what's friendly. Because as a boss, by being too friendly with your employees, it actually gives them the freedom to do whatever they want, even if it's not something that you as the boss are looking to achieve or do. Basically, they're out of pocket. To the person that's always in the face of the manager, they think it's cute when it's really not, because the team that's working around the brown noser has to do extra work to pick up their slack. Rule number 8, don't be so quick to criticize the people around you. Otherwise, the criticism is just gonna come right back to you. If you have to provide criticism, make sure you be mindful of your words and be constructive. Ensure that the person you're talking to doesn't feel defeated after talking to you. In order to be constructive with your words, start with the expression of admiration for that person, and then layer it with any sort of actions or behaviors that may be affecting you. But do not point the finger at that person. Again, you cannot control how other people feel and think. You can only control yourself. Rule number 9, be unreadable. Do not show your emotions on your face. Hide your dislikes. You can tell a lot about a person just by reading their body language. If you react to something, it gives the people the power to provoke you and try to make you explode. Basically, you're poking the bear. But if you don't react, the aggressor is just gonna grow more frustrated on trying to figure out how to make you explode. We've said this time and time again. Rule number 10, which is my absolute most used rule every single day. Be self-aware. Do not rely on others to hold a mirror for you to tell you about yourself. Self-awareness can be a challenge for most people because it requires you to do a lot of shadow work. And what I mean by shadow work is that it requires you to tap into your ugliness. It's whatever the things that make you tick. And a lot of people do not like to walk down that road. But what people fail to realize is that it's so important to identify your light side, but also your dark side, so that you're able to balance the two. Because it makes no sense to be too much light and not enough dark, or vice versa, where you have too much dark and not enough light. With self-awareness, it holds you accountable for both your actions and your behaviors, period. Well, that wraps up part 4 of our 8-part series. We are halfway there. In this segment, you have learned how not to offend people, don't rush to pick sides, and sometimes surrendering is the best strategy that wears the mask of patience. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe, especially share it with someone that loves to play psychological chess. Until next time, stay sharp, stay aware. Peace.